All right, let me see if I can help you out a little bit. So there's only really two measurements in this. It's how far forward and back and up and down. Everything else it doesn't really apply. So what I use is, to make my template, I use the same board that I make my frames out of, so 1x4, which I think is what you're using. So so this is kind of the mock-up of where the leg's gonna go, right? Your leg's gonna go right here if this was upside down, right? Your deck's on the bottom here. And so here's the best way to do it. If you have a leg that you already have cut properly and you have it dimensioned and you have a hole in it already, we can use that to make the jig. So when I build mine, I use a spacer block. So if this was, let's say this is all put together, this spacer block would go right here. So because if you didn't put the spacer block, the leg wouldn't be able to move up and down. It'd be too tight up against the frame. So put a spacer block in, take your leg and put it right here. Now, if you have a leg with a hole already in it, then just take this board and put it up against it and clamp it. Okay, I'll show you why. Okay. All right, so then now this is if you already have a template that you're using already. So clamp it just like this, right? Okay. Clamp it. Now drill your hole from the inside out. And if that's the case, then wherever the hole is here, that's where you're gonna line up your hole here. Okay, so if you have a leg that's already right, or a template that's already correct, put it on there just like you're gonna do it, and drill from this way, okay? And then wherever the hole is on the frame, that's where this hole would line up. And then you just put it on there, put a couple of screws, and affix this into place. There's a couple other things we're gonna have to do though. So that's how you could do that if you already have it already on there. Now, the other thing you're going to need to do is, once you unclamp this leg can go forward and back. And so you don't really want that to go forward and back. So once you have your hole, so let's say you drilled your hole and your hole comes out right here, okay? Well, once you unclamp this hole can move left or right, and it's kind of hard to get it back. So what you're looking for is to align a stop block here, and then just take another piece of scrap like this, glue it on and brad nail it to this piece right here, and it will always be a stop, and the hole will always line up where you want it to go. Okay, that's one way to do it. All right, now the other way to do it, if you don't have a template, I'm gonna take this apart, okay? Let's say you don't have a template that has a hole in it and you're just starting from scratch, okay? Well, then if that was the case, what I would do, and I think this is how I did it, you want to draw a center line going down the middle here. And since it's a 1x4, the middle is going to be 1.75 inches. It's halfway. So I'm going to draw a line here, okay, and just kind of go back and draw another line, all right? Then connect it. Now, the reason I do this, okay, so now I have a center line and I know where the center up and down is to put the block. Now it's just a matter of forward and back. Now, and this is if you don't have a template already. So let's just put that on there, wherever that is, okay? You put your spacer block in, if you use one, put your leg in if you have one made. Okay, now, clamp it all together, okay? All right, now it's just a matter of kind of eyeballing how far back you want your pivot point to be. We already know up and down how it's gonna be because your leg, your frame, and your template are all the same height. They're all the same height. So left and up and down, so center here is gonna be center here, or is gonna be center on your leg. So I think the way I did this is I just eyeballed it. I'm gonna show you on the other side here. Grab my camera. I think what I did is I just kind of eyeballed here. I kind of put a dot, or I kind of looked at it from above and said, okay, a natural pivot point is kind of be where these 45s meet. And I'll say, okay, that's where it's going to be right there. matches up with this 45, right? So that means my hole is going to be somewhere right in here, okay? And then I just carried that down. So, you know, this is my guess. Carried it to here, and then I carried it down. And I said, okay, that's going to intersect about right there, right? Something like that. And then I just went through with my 1/4" bolt or 1/4" drill bit, leave it all clamped. Went through my 1/4", okay? And again, you're gonna have to put a stopper right here, kind of mark it like before, and put a stopper so it can't slide backwards. And the idea is that when you're all done, okay, so then you got your hole that you drilled out with a 1/4" bit. Then you just line up this 1/4" hole with that 1/4" hole there, put a couple of screws on the sides, and these things even come with a little alignment, thing, so you can align that on the line you drew. And then the last thing you'll have to do is, right, so you put your stopper here so it can't go back, so that hole's always in the same spot. And then I just threw a couple pieces on top here so that so it can't go down any farther, so it's always going to be the same. And then I also put a couple of reminders, make sure that this is all flush and that the tip is up when you install it. So I hope that helps, man. If it doesn't, email me back. I'll see what I can do for you.